All right, so let's talk about coming up with topics for your content marketing. Literally one of my favorite topics to talk about is this exactly. So this is a question I get by everybody I come across when it comes to like me talking about content marketing with them is, how do I come up with the topics? Like if I'm gonna do videos directed towards my customers or like if I'm gonna do any kind of video content, podcasts, any articles or images, books, anything like that, what do I talk about? There are a handful of very simple things to do in order to be able to come up with those topics. Number one, and this should be first and foremost, by far my favorite method, is to listen to your customers, right? This should be like a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't get this. So what I tell people is literally anytime you talk to a customer, whether you're selling a product, a service that you offer, like for me, my content marketing services, literally the content that I shoot, like today, this pure example, one question that I get from a lot of people is, how do I come up with topics? So I'm shooting a video about that specific topic. So that's method number one. Every time a customer asks you a question about your product or service, or your industry for that matter, that's a piece of content that you could do. So say for instance, if you're a house buyer, I work with a lot of real estate investors, and one of the biggest questions that a house buyer gets is, what is a real estate investor? I have no idea what that is. So a lot of the sellers ask that question. So you should be shooting a lot of videos and pumping out a lot of content, articles, and do a lot of upfront work with your content on answering that question. So answering questions, and that's the pure definition for content marketing, is answering the questions that your target demographic has about your product, services, or your industry. So that's method number one. Write down every single question that a customer has for you. And then kind of in addition to that, kind of a sub point is, if you're hiring team members onto your team, like your company, and any questions that they have in like their training, that's good content for you as well. So I just hired a bunch of new people. I've onboarded like 3 new team members in the last couple weeks, and they've had a lot of questions. So for me, I'm gonna do content about the questions that those new team members asked. So those are really good methods for that, and that'll get you on your way just fine. Another good way that I like to do is auditing competition. So I'm the type of person, I am an abundant mindset type of person, so I don't really truly believe that I have competitors. I've just got people that do similar things to what I do, and they just happen to get the client before I did. But for me, that's what I do, is like I tell people, audit your competition. Like, what are they putting out that you could do? Definitely not the same as, but at least like get good ideas off of and spark some ideas for you. So audit your competition is another really good way. And you do this anyway, right? If you're running a business, you look at other people that are competitors of yours and say, hey, they're doing this in their business this way, we should try that out as well. So just do that with your content as well. The last thing I'll tell you is kind of 2 things wrapped into one. I use a platform called answerthepublic.com. You literally go to this website, you type in a keyword, key phrase, and then it'll spit out a bunch of other data that tells you what people are searching for in addition to that keyword or key phrase. I also like Google Keyword Planner. This is actually a tool used for Google AdWords, and this kind of does the same thing, but it's actual hard data from Google. So you go to Google Keyword Planner, you type in your keyword, key phrase, and then it'll spit out a bunch of data of what people are searching for in addition to that. So those are my favorite methods of coming up with content for you and your business. So make sure that you are trying those out. And that, literally, I just want to sum it back up. The definition of content marketing is answering the questions that your target demographic has for you about your product, your services, or your industry. Keep that in mind, and you'll have no problem coming up with topics for your content.